Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we're talking about Spy Family Season Dos, which was a continuation of what Angel originally recommended to us, which was Spy Family. We're just continuing on the journey this week with Season 2 of it. Season 2 aired. Well, actually, honestly, before we dive into it, we were talking about African giant slugs again, re-encountering and remembering such fond memories of that. Talking about some anime and other random stuff. If you want to gain a part of that or be a part of that wider conversation, you can join us on Twitch Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on twitch.tv/featured anime podcast, or you can listen to the pre-show by being a patron at patreon.com/featured anime podcast. And don't forget about Tokyo Treats. We have a affiliate link for you in the show notes. Coupon code featured anime. You get $5 off that very first box, and the treats are delicious. And now onto the me and bro potatoes. Spy Family Season 2 came out in October 2023 through December 2023. It's 12 episodes long. A couple producers for it are TV Tokyo, TOHO Animation, Studio Easter, just to name a couple. Studios for it are Wit Studio and CloverWorks. It's based off of a manga. Its genres are action and comedy and Shounen, just to name a couple. Now, for those of you who do not know or have not remembered what Spy Family is about, it's about basically a family that was created by Lloyd Forger, codename Twilight, to basically have a family, infiltrate the school, and gain access to a rival or a very prominent political leader that seeks the destabilization and war between the East and West. This is the journey for Lloyd, his wife, Yor, and his daughter, Anya, and their journeys through everything, while they each try to keep their identities separate and secret at the exact same time, while trying to portray themselves as a normal, everyday family.
Don't forget the puppers.
Oh, and the dog too. Yes, Bond Forger as well. The dog.
I was gonna say.
Season 2 is not so heavy on the family, more so as it is leaning heavily on Yor in Season 2. So you have a Yor heavy season, which if you are a big fan of Yor, then you're gonna really enjoy this week's or Season 2.
I kind of felt like it was more balanced. Well, I should rephrase. You are correct. Yor was more of a focus, whereas achieving the mission was more of a focus for Season 1. Now it was more the balance of the family life, and in Season 2, and you got a lot more dog. I feel like more Bond, and like it was far funnier and quirkier than the first season. So I appreciate it. I hope if we get a third season, which I expect,
there's a third season in the works. Yes,
I feel like we'll get more. I was gonna say we'll get more Lloyd, but
I don't know if we got more dog in this one. I really don't think we did, considering I don't know, probably about 3/4 of the series, probably close to half of the series, they're on a boat.
Well, yes, but I felt like we hit They
did have a Bond focus episode.
Yeah, and then closer to the last episode, there was another episode that was more focused on the interactions that he had.
Well, no, I mean, like there was an entire episode, Season 2 for Bond, right? The dog,
yep,
where his entire premise was to be basically to stay alive. Like that's everything he tried doing. He really, honest to God, tried staying alive, and it didn't know. I mean, like it worked out. I'm not gonna lie,
it
worked out.
It was one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah,
it was one of my most fun episodes in Season 2.
Yeah, it was definitely cute, and it was it really kind of set the tone mainly for the second season, simply because the second season was it had its serious moments, but also it had its quirky, fun type things. It didn't take itself as seriously as it did in season 1, with all
True.
the little fun mishaps and everything else going on.
Now, one of the things that I it's not that I'm worried about it, but one of the things that does concern me is the trajectory of the show. It's a good series. I like the show itself. I think it's got severe potential as far as being, I'm not going to say top 10, but definitely top 20 anime in the, would you call it slice of life at all? Because I feel like it kind of falls in that category because you're following this fictional family through their daily lives.
I didn't call it a slice of life, but if you want to classify it as a slice of life,
I feel like
you most certainly can if you really want to.
In that case, I would qualify this as a potential slice of life, just because it follows the day-to-day activities and stuff like that. It's nice. It's cute. It's very light and fresh. And when you're referring to killing people, light and fresh is not usually what I would use as a term to describe this. That being said, it's got severe potential to be the top 20 of my all-time favorites for slice of life. But I also fear that it has it's in danger of being too monotonous. Because if it follows the same footsteps that's laid in front of it, it could be very, one, predictive, and two, boring. Because it'll become repetitive. And for me, part of the thrill of watching this show is Lloyd and his struggle with maintaining a professional air and not letting his personal emotions seep in. And I feel like, yes, he still has the mission in the forefront of his mind, but I personally would like to see it evolve into a real family eventually. And I don't really see Lloyd.
So this is a constant struggle, right?
Good.
Well, I was going to say this is a constant struggle for him, right? He's consistently struggling with like his own personal feelings, with how he feels towards Yor and Anya, and the fact that he has to play a father figure, but also at the exact same time try and maintain that emotional distance. And when it comes to playing the father, being that kind of character, being that guy, it's not as easy to keep an emotional distance because it's different. Like if you're playing in a relationship and pretending to be in love with someone, or you're infatuated with something, or anything around that, it's easy to play that particular person. Everyone else may be fooled or may not be fooled, but they're not in the purview of it, right? It's not the focus of it. However, for him, he has to stay consistently in that father role. He can't just like go out to dinner, go and have fun, go do this or whatever bits and pieces. He has to consistently stay in a particular persona throughout the entire time. And he not only has to do that, but he has to genuinely show like they are a family.
Yes. And my biggest, not my biggest fear, but my biggest concern with this show is when we do finally reach its conclusion, it can go one of two ways. And this way would be the most unsatisfactory for me, is if he goes, all right, job's done, ditching you guys, have a good day, and switches back to his spy mode. It would be an understandable ending, but it would not be a desirable ending for me, because I would have become emotionally involved in this character and watching what I would assume growth.
Yeah.
And
well, at the exact same time,
all of that being good. I was going to say all of that being written away in a simple, oh, it was just an act, I'm good. It does make sense because it's his job, but I would feel cheated. I would be like, this is a crap ending. It's unsatisfactory. It's this, it's that. Now, at the same time, do I want him to lose his job? Or do I want this family to become the new super soldier family? I mean, it's it goes to the Mr. and Miss Smith movie issue where, it's too much good,
Okay. But
too much good, and you can't, there's no closure.
Future discussions,
that's far down the way.
Far down the way. That's not really relevant to this season, to the anime, right?
Fair.
Hey, I understand like where you're coming from though. And and this one, but it kind of also at the exact same time relates to the anime in that you see him take more of that approach, right? Where he is told, like, your job right now is just to be a dad on vacation with your daughter. Like, that is your sole job. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to worry about. And granted, shenanigans happens and everything outside of that ends up influencing it, but he is forced into a particular situation where he has to be a dad with his daughter on vacation. And she knows exactly how to push his buttons. Anya knows exactly how to get him to go do something or how to say something because how she phrases it or how he words it, because that is exactly what's on his mind is, do we look like a real family? And so she'll say, oh, well, if we were a real family, you would do this. Real dads would do this, blah, 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 blah. And so it really kind of makes it easy for him to be manipulated in that fashion.
And it's kind of funny because depending on how you look at it, he can be manipulated. Absolutely. Duh. But depending on how you look at it, it's one of those things where he wants to be manipulated. It feels like. Yeah. He wants to be, and the reason I say that is he's smart. There's no question in my mind that he's a massively intelligent person. He just chooses to be willfully ignorant, let's call. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, no. It's honestly how a lot of people kind of approach a lot of situations where they are willingly, the old adage, ignorance is bliss, right? Yep. For him, it's not that he's ignorant willingly. I would say it's more along the lines of, and you can kind of understand too, like that you can kind of understand too that he just doesn't understand. That he just doesn't know at all. He just kind of moves along the motion of the ocean, so to speak. Yeah. In a manner of speaking, play of words is, since a majority of this season takes place on a boat, right? But he just doesn't know because he never had that kind of upbringing. He never had a family, and it's even pointed out. And the exact same thing kind of plays with Yor, and you see a little bit more of Yor in her life and her background. And with this one, you definitely have a deeper sense of understanding about her and her duty. They're assassinating or they're going out and doing things to try and prevent war as well. So that way they don't have orphans or families aren't lost or anything else remotely close to that. It's a point where you watch it and can understand why she got into that business, because that is something that they wholeheartedly believe in for them and their group.
Yeah. And it's nice to see. It's nice to see Yor fighting with herself just as much as she's fighting with everybody else. And our little psychic girl, Anya. What's her name? Anya? Yeah. So it's nice to see Anya help, so to speak. Like there was an instance on the boat where Yor ends up being exposed, for lack of a better way to put it, exposed for fighting another assassin. And Anya comes up and goes, wow, look at the circus performers. And everyone, instead of being like, oh no, they're fighting to the death, they're like, oh, they're just really talented people wielding weapons.
Yay. And Anya's entire interaction and how she looks is just pure comedy.
Oh yeah.
Dead fish eyes, just totally doesn't believe the words that are coming out of her mouth. But everyone else is going, no, I believe that. That works for me.
That makes sense. That 100% tracks.
Yeah. And then, like, when she's sitting there saving her mom or anything like that. No plan whatsoever, but it's totally willing to take credit for something. It's like, haha, just as I planned.
Just as I planned. Yeah, a lot of this show is, I mean, it's all planned. Obviously, you have a writer and whatnot, but the way that they portray the characters, the way that they are able to, they're not breaking the fourth wall.
No.
But because we're watching it the way we are, we're looking at it like you are lucking into everything. Like, you have the most absurdly fantastic plot armor you could hope for.
Oh yeah,
and it's so convenient.
But that's
that
the joy.
Just working, you know.
Yeah, that's the joy, though.
I mean, it is. It's pleasurable, and it's.
You can't watch this without just like shaking your head in agreement. Go, you know what? I don't believe what's happening. I mean, like, there's nothing about that was planned, but
it's Deadpool level almost.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, in this massive fight,
you can't help but agree to whatever's happening.
Okay. Yeah.
You know?
Like in one instance, Anya finds her mom's, yours, weapon of choice, which is, what was it? It looks like a wand of some kind.
It's a spike.
What is it?
It's a spike.
It's a spike. Okay.
That's all I know it is. It's just a spike.
It's a sharp, pointy needle looking thing.
It's a
she
thorn.
finds it on the ground and goes,
because she's a thorn princess.
Yeah, she's the thorn. Yeah, it looks like a thorn. It makes sense. So she throws it back to her mom. Well, you're up and over this railing, and you're like,
hey, let's be realistic here. She doesn't throw it back to her mom. She throws it up.
She tries to.
Over the thing to try and get it to her mom so that way she can see it. And she does
the way
this.
She powers up.
Yeah, the entire wind up, the whole ordeal is just magnificent because it seems like it's going to be this really great, fantastic thing that doesn't happen
at all.
And the accidents that happened as a happenstance of it are just that much better.
Yeah. Yeah. Somehow this needle gets stuck on someone's ass and yours going, oh, there it is. And then you yoinks it. It's so funny. It's like the sword and the stone kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. No, this is
it's a good time.
It's a great time. This is it's great anime. And it's honestly one that you can really have a lot of fun with and enjoy at the exact same time. This is certainly not one that you have to kind of worry about at all.
Well, I mean, assuming you don't have my level of existential crisis of, it's going to end so poorly in like 9 seasons. But yeah,
well, I mean, like
this season,
it's not even ending yet. I mean, like they're still coming out with shows, right? And I foresee it in a far better light, kind of going down, where he's permanently stuck with the family now that he's created, even after that mission forever, because hey, they're the perfect cover, and you now have access to, secret state service and everything else, and then you can have your daughter gain you access to all these other things at the exact same time, and you have this perfect cover where you can stay there entrenched for years, because it's not like he's there doing the one only. While he's there, he is doing all these other missions at the exact same time.
They're running him ragged.
Oh yeah, and on top of that, some of them are, hey, since you're going there as a family, this is a great way for you to just be able to blend in with the crowd too after your mission, type of thing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, at the exact same time. So it's, I foresee them kind of saying, hey, Twilight, you got to stay with the family. You got to stay a forger forever.
Forger forever. I mean, technically, even if he wasn't, he still is.
True.
Forgery for life. No, but some of the things is just hilarious, because while Twilight is a relatively handsome man in this anime, he's drawn in. I almost say he changes his appearance depending on who's viewing him. For instance, Anya's classmate, when she sees him, when she sees Lloyd, my beloved Lloyd, and all that stuff, he looks a little more handsome whenever she's looking at him, and more suave, and
Obviously.
the antics that go on, huh?
Obviously.
When the antics go on in her head about how they're gonna make things work, and let's get in a bigger house, and let's do better things, and we'll raise you up because my family's got all the money. It's so childish and so childlike, and it's so appropriate because that's exactly what she is. She's a child and she's childlike. And if my memory is correct, they're basically in kindergarten, right?
Basically, yeah.
Kindergarten / first grade. Yeah. So, like, whoever wrote this out, whoever designed the show, did a very good job at keeping the characters unique enough that they stand out and they thrive essentially on their own. So I can only appreciate that from afar rather than anything else. But it just it's cool enough and nice enough that I can't think that they would get a spinoff, but they're main character enough that they're not annoying when they're on the show, when they're the focal point of the episode. Yeah. Sorry, I got hiccups.
Yeah, no, you're good. I can see that, but that's also at the exact same time why they have in this instance, your heavy season, right? Because they have the strength and wherewithal to be able to stand on their own. They're a strong enough character, and the characters are written well enough for them to be able to just stand on their own. So that way, when you're watching it, it's not X character leaning on the main character. It's X character standing on their own. They have their own struggles, their own plights, their own this, their own that, and everything that's going through it, making it so that way they can push forward and grow with the rest of the cast at the exact same time. And this season really lends itself well to that. So you learn a lot more about her upbringing and everything else, but at the exact same time, you see that character growth. You see the internal struggle and the plight with it at the exact same time. And her, even though she's a trained killer, she's starting to hesitate and afraid to move in for the kill for fear of being hurt or this or that, simply because she's like, well, if I get hurt, like, who's going to help take care of Anya? Or why, like I'm going to be torn away from family and everything else, and the whole internal struggle and her second guessing herself. And then at the exact same time, coming to the realization that she can still move forward and everything will be okay, that these other things may happen, but she will be all right no matter what. And the constant growth for not just for her, but for everyone in general through the first and second season is just massive. And it really helps set the tone for future seasons and the movie as well. Simply because when you're watching it, you can't help but go, yeah, I can see solid character growth continually throughout the whole thing. And if they do anything to screw it up, they honestly will ruin the entire series. Like I foresee a lot of people dropping it simply because they screw up how the characters grow and develop and nurture each other.
Makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And unfortunately, fortunately, they're doing a good enough job that I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue, you know?
Yeah. No, exactly.
So
I don't have too much more I can honestly say. I mean, like, granted, this is not going to be a long episode in general, at least for the main show portion of it. The pre-show is pretty long. But but this series is kind of just self-explaining. It really does well in terms of the growth development story, and the artwork is really well done. The music, when it needs to be there, is also really well done. And the fighting scenes are nothing to sneeze at either. It is definitely up there with some great Shounen, and the action scenes, sequences, and everything that goes on for it is really well done. And they put a lot of thought process into the choreography of it at the exact same time. So this is not something where they're trying to flout it one way or flaunt it one way or the other. This is it being its own show in the best way it possibly can. and it just makes it that much better, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that they did a fantastic job, and I could ask for more, but only in the sense that I would want more to watch. You know?
Yeah. Yep. No, I understand completely. So, so on a scale of up to 10, sir, how would you rate this?
So season 2, I would probably recommend, or not recommend, I'd probably rate it. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay. All right. Reasonings? Find it?
Sure. My reasoning for giving it an 8 is it was a fairly short season, only 12 compared to the 24 that was there last week.
Right.
I feel like, well, yes, it was rather your heavy. It didn't do a good enough job for a 9 or a 10 in portraying an even balance to the progression of their mission. You know, it felt like an extended beach episode. And they were very slow to move to a conclusion for the boat trip.
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
like I feel like they could have probably shortened the boat trip by about an episode or two, and then did more family antics or more exploration with her manager and her boss, essentially. I found the boss to be very interesting, but I feel like if we could have gotten a little bit more of that.
Yeah. No, I understand.
So,
I understand. Yep.
But I mean, overall, yeah, it's still very, very good. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
But yeah, I give it an 8. What about you?
For me, I give it a 9. Artwork was great. I felt like the story and character development were really well done. I don't have anything against it, really. The only thing that's keeping it from a 10, in my personal opinion, is one, it was just kind of their season, which isn't bad. Yeah. It was just mainly a season just purely for character development and growth, with no real progress towards the main goal, which is what everything in the first season was built on. So that'd be why I give it a 9 and not a 10, honestly, in my opinion. So
that's fair.
Next week, we're going to be talking about the movie for Spy Family. Hopefully we'll have progress towards the main goal. And if not, maybe more character development. Who knows? I don't know. You don't know? I don't know. We don't know. We'll figure it out later on, though. If you feel like we got something right, something wrong, did it too much justice, not enough justice, or anything like that, feel free to go to featuredanimepodcast.com. All our links and everything like that is available on there, as well as in the show notes at featuredanimepodcast.com. Listen to the pre-show if you want to, and, you know, help support us, help us grow like that. Patreon.com/featuredanimepodcast. And again, we are live usually on Mondays at 10 p.m. But this week, not so much. Next week, again, because of Labor Day, we're not going to be doing it. So we'll be doing it Tuesday next week at 10 p.m. And
Tuesday, 10 p.m. Got it.
Tuesday, 10 p.m. And until next time, I'm Jack.
I'm Rick, and we'll see you next time.